The center. People don't like religion because it divides. It divides because we can't agree. Religion puts a supernatural being in the center, and then that being, or that being system, manages everything surrounding the center. So God is creator of the physical realms and the non-physical realms, the spiritual and the non-spiritual. So if I were to tell you the God I worship is the creator, you could say, says who? It's coming from me, and I'm the one giving it authority, so I'm assuming godhood or God's authority. And maybe you'd be willing to listen if this godhood gave you something. But if I ask you to sacrifice, you'd say no and question my authority over you. This is understandable considering the tyrannical nature of religion. The Catholic churches ruled the West from Constantine until the French and the American revolutions of the 1700s. In the Middle East, you had Islam ruling through tyranny since 700 AD. In the Far East, God is government, and communism has ruled forever. The Greeks and Romans used paganism to rule, as well as the Persians and Babylonians. Paganism is a super religious form of rule and rules, and you have to pay sacrifices to their gods. And there's even human sacrifice. And the people ruling the empires think they're going to get everlasting life through this godhood. So yes, systems of religion have been used to rule, and tyranny and oppression have followed. In America, the answer for governing religion was to have freedom of religion. The government in America is not allowed to pass religious laws, nor are they allowed to restrict religious teachings. This has allowed there to be religious freedom, and when there's disagreements in the religion, the two parties branch off. You see this with Christianity, with denominations splitting off. There's roughly 3 branches of Catholicism and roughly 8 branches of Protestantism, with hundreds, if not thousands, of denominations. But then there's science. This supposedly isn't a religion. And then there's science. This supposedly isn't a religion, but all they seem to do is study creation. Where did humans come from? Where did the earth come from? Where does the earth exist in the cosmos? The creation story, if you will. Science seems to have all the answers, and the taxpayers fund it. They're also telling us the earth is dying, and it's humans' fault. Like the early church in Europe, scientific explanation comes from a central, unquestionable source called science, which is now controlled by government. Government has become God. And the taxes of science are like having to pay indulgences, which was a tax to get into heaven. If we could all just agree on one central system, then man wouldn't be able to rule over man. Some won't trust man's explanation of God because that comes from man. Some won't trust science because that comes from government, which are made up of a bunch of corrupt men. Most don't trust the spiritual because they want you to worship them. The heathens use a mediator to get you to worship them by getting you to pay sacrifices to the earth. The pagans get you to worship them by using a mediator, the heavens and the symbols of the stars. If taxes were voluntary, would you pay them? Taxes seem like forced spiritual sacrificial payments. We pay for Planned Parenthood, which is a human child sacrifice program. It's funny to me that we don't realize this. Every empire has had some form of human sacrifice, and abortion and the harvesting of the organs is just another way of people trying to find everlasting life. And we're asked to sacrifice to the high priests looking to escape hell. I would be willing to agree on a central system if it benefited me. In order for you to be able to agree on that system, it would have to benefit you as well. If the central system made the sacrifice, then I wouldn't have to, and you wouldn't have to either. But we would all have to recognize that sacrifice. And we would also have to be willing to agree who and what that central system is. It's not you, and it's not me. We would have to give it a name. And we would have to recognize it as the creator of our existence. I didn't create you, therefore I don't get to rule over you. And you didn't create me, therefore you don't get to rule over me. We could call the center system the beginning and the end. And its name could be the name above all names. It's the name above you, and it's the name above me. And it's the name above the creation, and it's a name above the heavens above. It's the name above all names. I don't have to pay sacrifices to it, and you don't have to pay sacrifices to it. But we do have to recognize it in order for us to let it rule over us and not rule over each other. We'll call it the center, the crux, the Christ, and will say it as well. Amen. Christendom.